Welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. Today, Quincy Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill will be stopping by for an update. First, though, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it's beautiful. Brilliant sunshine out there, a light breeze at 69 degrees right now. Just a sparkling day today with abundant sunshine, low humidity, mild temperatures in the upper 70s this afternoon. Another comfortable night this evening under clear skies. Lows will drop off to the upper 50s. Not a terrible way to end June this weekend. I think tomorrow definitely the better of the 2 days with a mix of sun and clouds. Tomorrow's highs into the upper 70s. The last day of June looks a little unsettled here on Sunday with some morning showers, some afternoon storms. It'll be pretty warm, pretty muggy too, with a high right around 90. And then July on Monday ushers in with some partly sunny skies, lower humidity and lower temperatures on Monday with highs into the low 70s. Actually, most of next week looks very nice, but today definitely the pick of the next three with sunshine and 69 degrees in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today. Well, the Grossman Companies of Quincy would like to build a new apartment complex and retail development at their property in Quincy Center. During an initial presentation to the Quincy Planning Board this week, company spokesman Avi Shas outlined a plan for a 7-story, 256-unit apartment building, retail and office space, plus a separate multi-tenant building at what is now the Boston Market TJ Maxx Burger King shopping center.
As for future commercial tenants, it's too early to say at this point, but we plan to improve the mix across the board, and we seek out best-in-market brands and vendors that will improve the shopping, entertainment, and culinary options for Quincy and offer great amenity to our future residential users. Given the history of the Grossman Companies and this property, we are also planning some level of historic retrospective, complete with photographs, timelines, and memorabilia that will be accessible to the public as a community art installation.
That plan calls for an even mix of studio, 1- and 2-bedroom apartments with 350 parking spaces under the new building and 147 surface-level parking spots. A more formal presentation will be made in August. Grossman's was founded at that site back in 1890 as a salvage and then a lumber yard. They also recently purchased the Star Market property right across the street for $41.5 million, but future plans for that site are still unclear. Eastern Nazarene College here in Quincy will be closing at the end of the year. Earlier this week, the college announced that financial challenges have forced them to close the institution after 124 years in existence. The current graduate and undergraduate students will be allowed to finish their programs. However, all other students, including incoming students, will be offered the opportunity to attend classes at Gordon College up in Wenham, or Trevecca Nazarene University in Tennessee, or Mount Vernon Nazarene University in Ohio. The school says it will work to find faculty and staff new jobs within the Nazarene system. ENC has tried to bolster revenues recently by hosting a state-sponsored family welcome center for migrants, selling off some real estate, and partnering with Quincy College for some nursing and athletic programs. However, it's not been enough to prevent closure. The city recently did create an overlay zoning district on ENC's 21-acre campus that would allow for only 55 and over housing to be developed if the college should ever close. A Quincy man involved in what authorities are calling a conspiracy that sold vast amounts of fentanyl and cocaine all over southeastern Massachusetts has been convicted of multiple drug and firearms offenses. 34-year-old Adarito Patrick Amato was convicted last week after first being indicted by a federal grand jury in September of 2022. Investigators say Amato was part of an operation that distributed drugs throughout Quincy and Weymouth. Large quantities of drugs were found at a stash house in Weymouth, along with evidence in his Quincy apartment and in his Jeep Cherokee. Officials seized over 40 grams of fentanyl, over $270,000 in cash, a money counter, and a loaded Glock handgun in his Quincy apartment. Officials also found a drug factory in his Weymouth home. 3 other suspects have also been convicted in that case. Sentencing is set for later this year. All 4 suspects face multiple decades in prison and millions of dollars in fines. Preliminary work on a new Squantum Elementary School here in Quincy will be getting underway this summer. City Council recently approved $1 million advance on the total budget to begin prep work around the site. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says it'll involve more than just building a new school.
In addition to the school, Joe, it's also a little bit of a public works project because we've had some drainage issues on Winslow Road, part of Mayflower, the rear yards, and some people in Hawkins. So we're trying to resolve the drainage issues as well as dealing with the new school. And then, of course, there's some utility issues we're going to tackle as well. There'll be a widening of Hawkins, and so it's more than just a school, plopping a school on a site. So we want to make sure the community is well aware of every step and get their input, of course.
The plan is to preserve the original 1919 portion of the school and build a new school around that building. Actual construction is set to begin next year when students will be moved into temporary modular classrooms, and then the new school is slated for completion in the fall of 2027. Meantime, construction continues on the new public safety complex to replace the current Quincy Police Station. Crews are building the new facility right next to the current police station on C Street, which will then be demolished once the new complex is completed. Mayor Thomas Koch says Suffolk Construction Company is making good progress on the new building, which will also include the fire department's administration offices, the city's IT department, and the offices of emergency management. A new 2-story, 276-space parking garage will also be part of that project. A first responders park is planned for the site of the current police station. The $175 million project is slated for completion late next year. Well, 29 volunteers at Interfaith Social Services here in Quincy were recently inducted into their Maddie Lang Hall of Fame. The volunteers were honored at a volunteer appreciation night held at the Quincy Masonic Building. Also honored the Duncan Joy Childhood Foundation, which was named Interfaith's Community Partner of the Year. Volunteers serve on Interfaith's board. They work in the food pantry and the bureau drawer thrift shop. This past year, volunteers sorted through 10,000 bags of clothing for the thrift shop, distributed nearly 100,000 bags of groceries, restocked the food pantry with more than 1 million pounds of food, and helped raise $550,000 at Interfaith's Feed the Hungry Gala and Stop the Stigma 5K. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, we sit down with Quincy Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill for a summer update. That's next. Welcome back. You could not order a better day for Kilroy Square's Farmers Market in Quincy Center. I want to know how Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill arranged for this weather. Tim, how did you do that?
It was due us. After living through last summer,
Yes.
the summer of rain, every Friday, every Saturday, all weekends. It's so refreshing out there today too. It's so refreshing compared, because it was hot, and I'm not going to complain about the hot yet, you know. But it was really good. But we're blessed. I was coming out of the parking garage this morning saying, "Wow, God is looking down on us today." So, because that's the challenge.
Right.
We've learned to accept that there's nothing you can do about the weather. And what I love about the farmers market is we do it either way, unless it's dangerous out there.
Of course, yeah.
They show up, you know, and I like that, because when people cancel, it's hard to get momentum when people don't show up, or you have to cancel an event.
Yeah.
And so we've learned when you go outside, you just have to roll with it.
Because if people show up and you're not there, then you really lose momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've spent, I mean, this is, I think, our 4th year in the chamber, 3rd or 4th year, I can't remember exactly. Time flies. And I know it's been, I think it's the 3rd year we've been running it by ourselves. You know, we've taken control of it.
Opened last week, right?
Yes, it opened last week, so I'm a week late. I should have been here last week to talk to you.
That's okay.
But we had a great start. We had a great start, full of vendors. The team is so locked in. My team is, they get everyone lined up well in advance, and we're oversubscribed for people who want to be there.
It's a good problem
and stuff.
to
It's
have,
good,
I guess.
and the mix is great. We finally found our bread vendor, which we've been looking for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Fire King Bakery. They came last week for the first time.
Right from Hingham?
Yeah,
Okay.
and phenomenal display, phenomenal quality. We bought some. I'm going to go. My wife gave me a list of stuff to buy for this weekend, and that's just bread. You know, you look for, you obviously have farms, you look for cheese, you look for bread, you look for a variety, and this year we seem to really hit it. You know, we've got just a nice variety of food vendors, cookies, and, 3 farms, and we have what's euphemistically known as Samosa Man, who comes in and sells samosas.
Really?
Okay. Two young Indian Americans who really took it by storm first time. They took it by storm last week, and they were delicious product, and there was a line, and people were really into it. So you can get food to eat, you can get food to take home.
Right.
And we also have some vendors who are selling jewelry and oils and soap and things like that. So it's a little bit of a mix of what we do in Christmas and what we do, and the food part of it, although it's dominated by the food.
Yeah, so Fridays noon to 5?
Noon to 5.
Okay, and same location?
Same location, Kilroy Square. We're not leaving it unless they tell us we have to go.
Right,
There's a new restaurant going to be opening, and in the LBC building.
Oh, really?
Which they're working on, an Italian restaurant, which
Oh.
we thought was going to start in the summer.
Aviva. Yes.
We thought they were going to start in the summer, and they'll be taking some of the outdoor space that we currently use, so we'll have to reconfigure, but I don't think we'll have to reconfigure until next year.
Okay.
Because they're not going to open until probably the fall, and I don't even know if they'll open their outside.
Oh, I see.
They'll probably have to get their inside set up before they do outside.
Right.
So, but it's great. I mean, Kilroy Square, I remember when we first started, it wasn't in Google Maps, there was no sign. It was hidden, it was brand new. I mean, nobody even who lived in Quincy knew where it was.
Right, yeah.
And
only
it was,
old-timers like us knew what Kilroy was, too.
Yeah, it was a struggle. It was a real struggle to get people, and it's a little hidden. I mean, it is hidden.
It is,
It's a hidden gem, as we say, and if you're parking in the garage, it's great, and because you walk out and you're there. But it's taken a while. It's taken a while to, I mean, the farmers market was always there.
Yes, yeah, the old Hancock lot.
The old Hancock lot, and I give them a lot of credit for establishing themselves there. They did a great job of keeping it going when they got removed up to Pageant Field. And then when we came back, the mayor really wanted the farmers market to come back downtown, and with all that work that was done, it made total sense. So it's worked out great. It originally was a lot of work for us, and it still is a lot of work, but it's an enjoyable project that we do, and it really helps small businesses, the vendors. I mean, the farms aren't local here because we don't have any farmland
Not anymore.
left.
Used to be years ago.
But they're they're located in Massachusetts. They're great. It's great to help keep them viable. Because we need farms, we need fresh food, and you need places to shop where you know that the product was grown here, not shipped from California.
Yeah, and I mean, we're in a little bit of a bubble here in Greater Boston, but agriculture is a main industry in Massachusetts.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you think about west of 495, it's mostly agriculture.
Yes, and they got hammered last year.
Yes.
The rains really impacted the farming community because, I mean, too much rain is as bad as too much of anything. It flooded. They really suffered last year. So the product, it seems, there's more variety in the product already.
Yeah.
And we just started last week. Usually at the beginning it starts out a little slow because you don't have everything. You don't have tomatoes yet. You don't have corn yet. It's just not seasonal.
Yes, yeah.
But we had a lot of variety. And Stillman's, who have been with us for over 40 years, they're out in Western Mass. They're phenomenal. They're just great partners and stuff. So I like it. And it really does bring some vitality to downtown Quincy. It gives people a reason to come down during the day. We'll see this year. I mean, there's still a lot of people that aren't working.
Still?
On Fridays, especially.
Okay.
They work from home.
Yeah.
So the office buildings are less than full.
Interesting.
But it's getting better. Okay. Stop and Shop is back. They're back 3 days a week. So, and many of Quincy Mutual seems like the parking lot's fuller, and so most of them are back, not full time.
Yeah.
And Fridays in the summer is still a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, last week was a really good indication of where we're at.
Yeah.
And this weekend, I think, especially with the weather, it'll be great.
So much going on in Quincy this weekend.
Yes,
I've got Porch Fest tomorrow.
Yes.
I've got the
It's great.
Amphitheater tonight.
Yeah, and then next weekend we have the 4th of July.
Right.
It's great. I mean, we've had a great spring since we last talked, annual meeting and after-hours events and breakfasts and stuff. So we've had a great, busy spring. But the city is really stepped up. There's events at not only at Kilroy Square, but there's events at Hancock Adams.
Always,
We
yeah.
just opened up the visitor center, which is beautiful,
Yes.
really nice. We're looking forward to a really good year of tourism, and anecdotally, I'm seeing a lot more people walking around, and especially visiting the Common and getting their bearings. And that's where you have the National Park Service on one side.
Right.
And then you have the Quincy Visitor Center on the other side.
Yes.
And what they did is they developed it in a way. You guys should definitely, if you haven't gone down there, see it, because there's a map of Quincy on the ground.
Yes.
And so you can see where you're going and how far everything is, and you can check out your neighborhood and see if your street's in there, if you're local or not. And it's much more interactive, so it's not dependent on, it's still staff, but it's not dependent on staff telling you what to do. It's like you hit
Figure
a
it out
kiosk
yourself,
and,
yeah.
and there's things for the kids to play with if you've got young kids. And
Yeah, I heard about a wooden train set or something that
it's
kids
a big,
can drive.
It's a big hit.
Is that
it's
right?
a big hit.
Okay.
So, and those things matter, and that's how you get people to really experience.
Yeah.
I mean, history, when you're living through it, it's pretty exciting. Last night's debate, we'll talk about that. We'll speak to that, but it can be presented very dryly and not relevant to what's going on today. And it is very relevant to what's going on today. People say politics has never been meaner. Well, go back to 1801 and see the election between Adams and Jefferson if you want to get mean, or the 28 election between the son Adams and Jackson.
Yes.
They were mean and ugly.
Yes.
There was a lot of name calling. It was, it was different, but these kind of things help history come alive. We had a nice picnic up at the this year for the President's Trail up at the Dorothy Quincy House.
Oh.
Which was nice. The Park Service is having a couple of events on the 4th of July.
Always, yep.
They do one at the church, I think, on Sunday, and one on the 4th at the Peace Field.
Yes, they do the reenactment, the reading of the Declaration of
And then there's
Independence.
a play with Adams and Jefferson, I think, at the church one of the days. It
Sure.
might be Sunday. So Quincy's, it's all pulling together. I think the way the mayor envisioned it would maybe 10 or 15 years ago. You build the development, you incentivize people to, operate some retail space. I saw the clip you guys just did about the Grossman property and
Yep.
stuff. And once it starts, the momentum kind of builds on its own, and people say, this is the place we want to be. And what we really like is when it comes to the farmers market and the Christmas market that we do is these new apartment buildings are really hungry for events. They want to be able to sell Quincy because that helps them sell their
Certainly, yeah.
apartments. And
It's
so
an
we've had
asset.
partnership, Stone Center, which is the new place opening up
old
with the
Masonic
Masonic
building,
Temple.
yep.
They're a partner, they're a sponsor of our beer garden,
Oh,
which
okay.
will start tonight at 4 o'clock
Oh,
as
is that
well.
right?
It's already been going on since May, but they'll be doing, their last Thursday was last night, but
Who's
then they'll
they,
be
Tim?
Widowmaker.
Oh, Widowmaker.
Widowmaker Brewery. This is their 3rd or 4th year doing the beer garden. They have food trucks that come, so you have an additional option for food. And they'll start next week, because Thursday's the holiday, they'll go Friday, Saturday, and then Friday, Saturday through the summer.
Okay.
So they're they're there on Fridays and Saturday evenings, Thursdays through the spring, and it's just a nice place to hang out and sort of get a feel for what's going on, and then maybe go to a restaurant. So it's pretty, when the weather's good
It's a whole
and everything's
about the weather.
green and everything's blooming, you really get a good picture of what Quincy has to offer, especially with all of the amenities that have been built over the last 2 decades.
Well, I think you tend to linger more and explore more, take more time. than
Want to
you
get out
would-
for a walk
Exactly.
during lunch. I mean, we're cooped up all winter long,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't want to go out. I don't want. I'm looking down from the 9th floor and saying, it's too cold out
It's
there. I
wet,
can feel
it's
the
damp,
wind.
it's cold.
And
yeah.
so, it's just,
Makes all
and
the
I
difference.
like, not only as a resident for many, many years,
Yeah.
it's refreshing, but I like the feeling that it gives to people who are new, because they don't know Quincy. They come for the apartments. They don't know what's going on outside of those areas, and we're just talking about the center. I mean, Wollaston and North Quincy have their own separate, really, food culture.
Sure.
Much more ethnic.
Yes.
And we'll be exploring all that in August for our food festival. So we're going to be doing a food festival, Taste the Quincy Food Festival, for the first time since 2019.
Oh, do tell. Tell me.
Yeah,
Who, what,
August
when, where,
7th.
how, when?
August 7th, up at Adams Inn
Okay.
on the banks of the Neponset River.
Out of in the gazebo?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Under the tent, the gazebo. We'll
Okay.
take it all over. We're compiling the restaurants now, but we'll have about 25 by the time we're done. We got a good list. We'll have Widowmaker and Break Rock Brewery, 2 breweries, some music, and it will be a nice night. And it's amazing when you think about it. We stopped during COVID for obvious reasons, and we just never really got back to it. Restaurants were struggling, and it wasn't fair to ask them to come
Put out
free food for people and
were
stuff.
struggling
But
just to get
I
orders
think
out.
that has passed. Not everyone, but it's passed for a lot of them, and it's a great way to visit and explore and experience 25 different restaurants. $40 is the cover charge, basically. And then you get as much as you want to eat from as many different places, and it really does give a good flavor of where the city is today versus 2019.
Just Quincy Just Quincy restaurants?
Mostly chamber restaurants. So we'll have some Milton restaurants in
Okay.
there as well. But if you're in the Quincy Chamber, it's a taste of Quincy. But we're taking over the whole South Shore. So but yeah, Quincy Chamber restaurants.
Okay.
So most of them will be from Quincy, and there'll be some restaurants in Quincy that aren't in the Chamber. We're not. If they're a good restaurant, we want them.
All right.
And if they're a newer restaurant and they're a little bit different, we want people to sort of get all the flavors: the Asian, the Indian, the American, the Mediterranean, because it's become a dining destination, the city overall. You've got all these ethnic supermarkets here in Quincy as well, so it's really a draw. It's really a draw, and our job is just to bring them here and let them figure it out when they go. So, and that's
Maybe
what
entice them to become a member of the chamber.
If they want to do that, that's great. We love that because we're growing. We're
Yes.
growing.
How many now, would you say?
We're over 500
Have you?
members,
Okay.
and we're growing. Every month we add a few, sometimes a lot. We've got a separate category for the smaller vendors if they're pop-ups. So if they don't have a bricks and mortar, but they participate, so they could join for a little bit cheaper amount.
Okay.
So. We've had a few when Fat Cat closed and La Paloma closed, and the Wheelhouse, the mainstays in Quincy. And I feel bad for those places, and I understand COVID, the remnants of COVID are still playing out with the restaurant industry because they got probably hit the worst.
Certainly.
In many ways. Outside of healthcare, they really got whacked. And they're paying the price for that, but we're a restaurant closes, another one opens. And it doesn't stay empty for long, and things change. And things change. I mean, when Paloma came, Mexican food. I mean, there was no other place.
41 years ago.
And
that
now
was it,
there's a lot of other places, and people have migrated again more to maybe into the business districts because you can get that. You don't have to drive to it. You can walk to it in Norfolk Downs, Wollaston, or Quincy Center. So I think it's a great addition to the city.
Any new businesses other than restaurants do you see, looking at Quincy?
I haven't come across too many of them. I think there's we've seen a lot of activity at Crown Colony.
Certainly.
And it's changing. Again, some people are moving out, some new people are moving in, some people are moving within buildings because that whole that whole area is changing. The same thing up at Heritage, up in State Street South, that whole area. So there's a lot of new businesses moving in. President's Place, our building, is full.
Is that right?
It's taken 5 years, but it's full. Every floor is taken with another small business. So you don't see it on the retail side as much, at least not downtown. But but when you go to South Quincy, Franklin Street, every one of those storefronts is full, is open, is full, and there's all these cool little food places and barbershops and smoke shops, and just a lot of same thing down on 3A going down Washington Street. When I drive around, you don't see many vacant spots. It's a little different. It's maybe a little cheaper, a little less expensive, so it's off the beaten path a little bit.
Sure.
But wherever the retail can go and wherever the price works for these folks, that's where we want them. Because you don't want them to come in, spend a lot of money, and then find out I can't afford it and stuff. So
back to Kilroy Square for a sec. Any live entertainment, Tim, at all?
the beer garden starts at 4 o'clock. They usually bring some entertainment, usually at 5. We don't have any we don't have any room.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
So we tried last year to bring the beer garden in at noon, and it just really, there weren't enough people they didn't want to start drinking at noon,
Okay.
which is understandable.
Right.
And it really didn't pull in a lunch crowd, and so it wasn't fair to them to ask them to come. And to be honest with you, we've got so many vendors that we almost don't have the space. So there will be some entertainment after hours,
Okay.
and people. What I love is the 4 o'clock. What it really helps is at 4 o'clock things might slow down a little bit because the worker crowd is gone.
Yes. Yeah.
But more people come for the beer garden, and they walk through the Kilroy Square, and it kind of all works.
Because
And
people live there now, right?
it's taken us a while to figure it out. We've tried a couple of different things, and
Yeah.
if something works, we keep doing it. If something doesn't work, we move on and we figure out a way to pivot to something
yeah,
else.
yeah,
And
you're
so
a flexible, feisty little
I
bunch.
would try to. Yeah, I would. That's a great way to describe the chamber. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't shy away from the challenge, and we've messed up on a few things, or things have been less than successful.
Yeah.
And it's taken us a while, but we always go back, refine it,
by doing.
get a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I tell people that all the time. If you do an event and nobody signed up for it, just do it. Just do it. It's the same thing with an opening or a ribbon cutting or whatever you're doing. Just do it. We'll promote it. We'll make it look like there was a lot of people there, even if there aren't. Through social media, the wonders of social media.
Oh,
but
yes.
but if you don't start,
Yeah.
I remember my old days at Handshakes Cafe, and we opened up a place and didn't know if anyone was going to come, and I think we made $240 the very first day we're open, which didn't pay for 3 guys trying to make a living, but it was a start. And I remember let's open today. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And then we figured it out as we went, and that business, which is not Handshakes anymore, is still Craig's Cafe, the same location. It's been there for 40 plus years. And it just goes to show you that some folks just, the names change, but the concepts stay the same.
Have a great summer.
You too. We'll
Thanks,
talk
Tim.
to you maybe before the food festival. Maybe I'll sneak in here before the food festival
Definitely.
in August. But if not, we'll talk in the fall.
Okay, sounds
Enjoy
good.
the summer.
You too,
Take
Tim.
care.
Hey, it's going to be a great day to enjoy. Get out there and enjoy it. Lots of sunshine and in the low 70s, upper 70s this afternoon. Nice tomorrow. Some showers around here on Sunday, and July comes in with sunshine and highs in the low 70s. Thanks again to Tim Cahill for joining us today from the Quincy Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you to our crew, and thank you for watching. Monday, folks from the Quincy Yacht Club stopping by to talk about their recent 150th anniversary celebration. Meantime, it's our QATV.org website. All our programs are there. There's news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and more. For all of us at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a super weekend.